Okay, so welcome to the Northwest Healing Spirit Expo. Everybody have a good time?
Yay!
Best show ever, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I've been asked to do a seminar of question and answers because I know stuff. And I want to share what I know with you, but I don't know what you don't know until you ask me questions. So I've had a few questions that people have asked me before now, so I prepare. And then I'll open it up to whatever you want to ask me. And we'll just keep going until we're out of time. The first question that was asked of me was, well, first of all, some things are unanswerable. I don't know. I don't know why.
What was the question? Jess, do you have a mic or?
No.
Okay. What was your question?
Some things are just unanswerable.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to say that. So you may have a question that I don't have an answer for. That's one thing. The other thing is sometimes my answer is not your answer. So you have to trust your own heart, your own inner self to know what your answer is. I'll give you answers that work for me. And then you check within yourself to see whether that fits for you. That makes sense to you? Okay, so first question I was asked was, when did you, Janice, first know you had a gift? I have to tell you, I never thought it was a gift. I knew I was odd. And the first time I knew I was odd was when I was in the shoe store getting shoes, getting ready to go to school. First pair of shoes, school shoes, I was so excited. And my foot went to sleep. And I said, Mommy, what are all those colors that are flashing in my foot? And she looked at the guy who was selling shoes, and he looked at her, and they said, what colors? I knew I was odd at that moment. The next time I thought I was odd was went to Grandma's house and was like, oh, I've been here before, many, many years ago. No, they just moved. You've never been here. No, I've been here before. No, you haven't. Okay, just catalog that as you're odd. And then I was about 7 and had a little necklace. I like jewelry. I don't know if you've noticed that or not about me, but I do, especially if it sparkles. Oh my God. So I kept having my mom put this necklace on every day. And she said, I wish you'd just learn how to put it on yourself. But I said, well, I can't see to put it on. And she said, well, you'll figure it out. So I figured that everybody could see behind themselves. So then I came out the next day and had my necklace on. She said, oh, you did it yourself. I said, yeah, I just looked back there. Could see behind me. She went, you did what? I looked behind myself. Okay. So I knew I was odd. The final nail in the coffin to my oddness happened when I was in high school. Well, there's many, but I'll give you the last one I'm going to share with you. When they were doing science projects, and my brother had a friend who did a science project on ESP. So he was just looking for random people, and so I was there, and as a little sister to my brother, so I did this ESP test, got them all right, got them all correct. And then he took that back to his professor, and the professor said, oh, that's really incredible, do it again. You probably did it wrong. So I went back, and just before he tested me, I remember my mother saying, well, none of our people do that sort of thing.
Ooh.
So when he tested me, I got them all wrong this time, which is mathematically impossible. But he took that back, and it wasn't until he was at the science fair that some people that were at the science fair said, you should have brought her, because that's mathematically impossible. But anyway, fortunately he didn't, because I don't think I could have handled that sort of thing at that young age. It wasn't until I married Phil that I began to realize that oddness was a gift, because he celebrated the things that I experienced. And it wasn't until I had that celebration and that sense of it was wonderful from the eyes of somebody who loved me, that was when I began to recognize that it was a gift. Up until then, it was just being really odd, and you don't talk about that sort of thing. That makes sense? So that's just kind of a brief overview of that. How can I approach this without being afraid? By walking with someone who loves you, who has that self-esteem with you, who you feel safe with. If you have that sense of safety in a community or companionship, then that's when you can walk unafraid. I had to do it all by myself. Phil was very loving and supportive, but he didn't do some of the odd stuff that I did. So I walked it alone, and I did it alone, but you don't have to. There's a whole herd of us that are willing to share what we know, what we have experienced, to assist you. A whole community of people. And that's how you can do it without being afraid, is to be with people who can tell you the truth. You're just whacked. You know that they're just telling you that because they love you, or they can say, that's right on, I get that. Make sense? So having people you trust to give you appropriate feedback, that's how you can walk through this unafraid. Why should I care if I have a gift? Well, first of all, oh my gosh, there's nothing better in the whole world than to be of service. And to bless someone with a kindness and help them on their way, whatever that looks like, whether it's a healing or an intuitive message, that's such a beautiful thing. Yes, that would be extremely important and valuable to have that ability to do that. Here, let me say this about that. I think you all have a gift. I don't think there's some people who just go, ting, and you have a gift, you don't. I don't think that's how that works at all. I think we all have a gift, and I think we all can nurture that gift. You all have muscles, but you may not all choose to be a muscle bodybuilder, right? If you want to work that muscle and get better at it, you can. Some of us have odd stuff happen sooner than we have our awareness and our choice come along with us. Does that make sense? But you all have the ability. You all have the gift. I don't think it's selective and you get to and you don't get to. I think it's everyone has the capacity. And you may not have the same capacity. Like you may have a real ability to tune into what somebody's feeling, but you may not have a real ability yet to hear spiritual messages. Can you acquire that? Absolutely. If I can do it, you can do it. Because I didn't have all of that stuff till later. I started with palmistry. Line went here, did that, says this, that's done. It's a science. It wasn't until Phil and I went to a fundraiser, and I was up till 3 in the morning still reading palms, and I started seeing pictures in my head. And I was like, oh, that's really pretty. And that's when the intuitive door opened, when I was too tired to fight it anymore. So if you haven't had the intuitive door open yet, you may still be fighting with it. Make sense? So it's a gift when you use it. When you don't use it, it's just a thing sitting in the closet. It'll be there when you're ready for it. Make sense? How do you discern what's good or bad? Well, this is a tricky question. Because, and the reason it's tricky is not because you can't tell between good and bad, but sometimes we've been conditioned to think that bad is good. If you've been in a really bad relationship and you get out of that bad relationship, the next person you hook up with might be really bad, but you're familiar. So it feels right, right? And you're whacked. That's why you need good friends to say, no, that's just whacked. Okay? When you have that internal mechanism that's on the true north and headed in the right direction, then it's easy to tell what's good and what's bad because it'll feel wrong. Your inner truth is powerful, and you have the ability to discern what's right and wrong, and what's good and what's bad. And part of what will help with that is, again, your community and life experience. You know, life experience will kick you in the backside. Go, oh, that was not good. We won't do that again, or we'll stay away from that. That makes sense? So trusting that inner self and giving that inner self wisdom, giving that inner self practice so that it can discern what's right and what's wrong. Make sense? Good book says that we have our senses trained to discern good and evil. So we have to practice, we have to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And we do that again with a community of people who can really tell you the truth. And your truth may not be my truth. But if I hear you, then I can have a chance to confirm internally for my true north inside. How can I honor my gift in spite of family scrutiny? Oh, gosh. I love this question. And here's why. Because my family thought, again, you're just whacked. You're odd. Not people. Normal people don't do that. Well, this is the new normal. Thank you very much. You just don't tell them too much. You know, just don't tell them too much. You know, my parents knew I was a professional psychic, and that's all they wanted to know. Until my mom had a really bad hip pain, and I asked her, would you like a healing? And then she asked over and over for a healing because, you know, she liked it. That worked, and it shocked her. Who knew? Because in her world, you know, people didn't do healings. We don't do that. We're not that religion. We don't do that. So, you know, she had to be ready for it. When my dad passed away, Mom moved to another house. We bought her house, called the homestead. So she moved to her new house, and she was like, oh, you know, I hope Dad really would have liked this house. I think he would. My dad was standing right there. I couldn't tell her. She didn't want to hear that sort of thing. So all I could say from my heart to her heart was, Dad would love this. And wherever you are, his love will be with you. And she needed to hear that. And that she could take in. So just don't tell them all that kind of stuff. Don't freak them out. Don't need to freak them out. You don't need that. Because you don't need they can't handle it, it's okay. Does that make sense? What is a spirit guide? How do I contact them? You take intuitive development classes. That's the first thing. A spirit guide is different than an angel. An angel has always been in the presence of the divine source. A spirit guide is somebody that's lived a life, passed away, crossed over, and now they want to help out. So they have tools or techniques or abilities, like maybe they were a shaman, or maybe they were a carpenter, and you really like woodworking. So you've got the spirit guide that comes and helps you while you're doing your woodworking. Or maybe you love to cook, so you have a spirit guide that loves culinary things. So what you need is there for you. You'll have spirit guides that are there from birth till death, and then you have ones that come in as you need them. If you're going through a health crisis, you could have a new spirit guide to help you with that. If you're going through a relationship breakup, you could have a new spirit guide to come help you with that. Does that make sense? They are no more or less powerful necessarily. They have a purpose. They're here to help you. They're like right on it. Does that make sense? There's more on that, but we'll get back to it. How do you contact them? Ask them to show up. And then you shut up and let them communicate. Because they will. They'll leave you little signs and symbols. You've ever heard the commercial, here's your sign?
Yeah.
They'll give you a sign. They really want to communicate with you. And they will communicate with you. You'll see, like, you're opening a magazine, you see a picture of a butterfly. And then you go outside and you see a butterfly. And then you go someplace and your best friend says, I was thinking of butterflies earlier. Okay, there's 3 times your spirit guides have said butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. So they will try to communicate with you in myriad of ways. There's no one way in which they can communicate. Sometimes it's a nudge. You'll feel them. Sometimes you'll see a little flicker of light out of the corner of your eye. Have you ever seen that? That's your spirit guide, wanting to let you know they're there. They won't intrude unless you either ask them or it's life-threatening. They respect you. They will not tell you what to do. If somebody says, well, my spirit guide's telling me to do this, no, they're not. They may have a sense of urgency about it, but they're not going to tell you what to do. Would you like it if I told you what to do? Probably not. We don't like that. And so they're respectful of that, and they're not going to do that to you either. They might give you a nudge or an encouragement, and whether you choose to go that direction or not is totally up to you. How do I reconcile my faith with this spiritual stuff? How can you not? It's easy peasy because, you know, Jesus was a mystic. Buddha was a mystic. Come on. You know, it's just a part of it. In the first book I wrote, Spiritual Awakening, I go through a lot of scripture in that if you want to have some spiritual background on that, because I had to go through that. The religion I grew up in said, oh, no, we don't do that. None of our people are like that. So I had to reconcile that. You know, Jesus talked to dead people, why can't I? Right? So there's more on that subject, but that's a bigger subject than I want to deal in this moment. But that's a hint. If you want to talk more about that, we can. How do I apply this to my daily life? You open your heart space and follow your ring true. How do you know your ring true? When it bangs on your heart, don't do that. Don't do it. Make sense? Your ring true is going to guide you along the way. It's powerful when we listen. You know how we don't listen is just rush, hurry, quick, fast. If we're on autopilot, run, you can't hear your inner truth. You can't hear your spirit guides. So how do you apply it in your daily life? You open up, you listen, and you let it guide you. It's really fun, because then serendipity happens. And some amazing things that you hadn't even expected will show up in your life to be a blessing for you. Am I talking too fast? I'm trying to get through stuff. Really fast. How do I avoid the dark stuff? Run like hell! You know, your ring true is going to go, oh, that's not okay with me. It might be okay for that person, but for you, don't go there. Just stay out of it. There's probably more to that question. How is it if we're all connecting to the same source that our insights are different? They're not. Our insights are going to be the same. You have a different come from, so you're going to couch it in a different framework than I might, but really the answers and the insights are going to be the same. The bottom line is the same. It's all for your benefit, all about expressing to you how much you're loved. Divine Source adores you and wants you to be happy. And that's the ultimate truth. That's the ultimate truth. Okay, here's a fun one. Reincarnation. After we transition, say, pass away, go to the other side, how can we connect our soul through mediumship when we're supposedly reincarnating? Okay, here's my thought on that. You may have a different thought. I think we go through in pods. You know, whales have pods and dolphins have pods. I think we have pods. So, like my mother who's passed away probably won't come back through until all of the grandchildren she knew are gone. All of the friends that she knows until they're all gone. And then that whole group will mix up and say, hey, this time I think I'll be that. Jump back through. Does that make sense? So that's why while people that are alive can contact the people that are on the other side, it's because they haven't reincarnated yet. Now, with the exception of, I have seen people who have been suicides that have reincarnated back in the same family really fast. So I have seen that. But other than that, most of us wait until all of us are cycled through. We have this big party on the other side. Hey, long time waiting for you. And then we jump back through. Does that make sense? Why call on ascended masters or particular angels? Why not? It's like if you have car trouble and you have a transmission guy, go to a transmission guy if you have transmission trouble. If you have, I see I'm learning about cars, but if you have other things wrong with your engine, you might want to go to that specialist. Sure. Make sense? So it's okay to call a specialist. Bottom line, whoever you need will be there for you. Whether it's an ascended master or a specific angel or a herd of angels, what you need will be available to you. Does that make sense? And but calling on them helps you feel a little more empowered. Just know that whatever you need is gifted to you, brought to you. How does destiny and free will work? I love this question. Here's the deal. Destiny is your purposefulness, and free will is your choice. So I may be destined to be a teacher, but if you put me in a classroom with little children, this is not going to be good. But I can manifest being a teacher for grown-ups and be really good about that. Does that make sense? So how I manifest that particular destiny is up to me. It's all about choice. But I may be destined to be a teacher because I have observed or I have an ability to translate what I'm experiencing into words that other people can understand. When I was a legal secretary, we had a training program. Other secretaries would come to me. I said, why are you coming to me? I've got the training program. They're on call all the time. You would just explain it better. I just have that ability to do that. So if you have whatever ability you have, that's where your destiny lies. How you choose to manifest that is up to you. That make sense? So that's about all of the, what about you? What do you want to know? Bring it. Just bring it. I talked really fast. Yes?
So you said, you made the comment that people that have committed suicide, that you've seen them reincarnate into families quickly.
Yes, I have.
So is it just people that have committed suicide, or has it been like sudden deaths from like a car accident, or?
I haven't seen,
you seen that?
I have not seen that area, but I haven't seen everything in the world. So it certainly is possible. It certainly is possible. Yes, ma'am.
How can you tell?
How can I tell? Usually they tell me. So in other words, I'll have someone who brings a child in for a reading, I have seen that the parent years before, because a brother or sister had passed. Well, that's who's here. Does that make sense? So that's my life experience of it. Yes.
When you look in a room like this at all the people, what do you see?
Well, it depends. If I choose to open up, I see your auras, I see angels and guides and stuff hanging out in the back. Sometimes I can see injuries and ailments. If I don't choose to see that, then I see just people. Behind you. Yes.
Well, now I have two questions. One is in the reincarnation with pets.
Yes.
Do you see them, the whole pod thing, or reincarnating faster?
They can reincarnate faster
Okay.
because we're part of their pod
Okay, so
and their lifespan is much shorter.
they can,
Yes.
so if they're reincarnated, we can't really communicate with them on the other side because they are actually, their soul is here on earth.
Yes and no. I think there is an essence of who they were that those of us that are aware of them might be able to access, because the soul is eternal,
Okay.
and that soul will still have an awareness of that. Does that make
And,
sense? I haven't finished the first one.
I see that.
and then if you see like a, like an ailment or something where somebody didn't come to you, do you feel a obligation to maybe tell them, or do you not invade that space because they didn't come to you asking for that?
That's a really, really tricky question. If they come to me and say, I don't know what's wrong, I'll tell them. But generally speaking,
You don't feel an obligation to tell them?
no, it's none of my business.
Even if you could help them? You still not, that's kind of invading
You
their-
have to trust your own heart.
Okay.
Sometimes my heart will say, stand up and tell them right now.
Okay.
And then sometimes it's like, because if they're not ready to hear it, they're not going to hear it.
Okay.
Had that just yesterday. Somebody really needed a healing, did not want to hear it. I started to say something and got this, no, don't tell them.
Okay.
So trust that inner self. That inner self will know whether that's important for them. And you can ask it a different way. Sometimes when I'm confused about a question, I can ask it a different way and get a clearer response. So if I am shown something, my first response is, I'm shown, it's my responsibility to tell them.
Okay.
Not necessarily so. If I'm shown something, then I can ask, are they ready to hear? Because sometimes when I was first starting, I would get messages for people in restaurants and stuff. I was like, do I tell them? And the answer was, no, we're just teaching you how to watch.
Oh,
We're just teaching you how to perceive. So this is for your benefit, not for theirs.
And do
So
you hear
just
it
receive it.
audible, or do you feel it in your body? Or
Both.
Okay.
All of the above, yeah. Yes, sir.
I guess everybody else calls it a gift, so I have a gift where I know things. How can I work on that to where I know people that claim they see things, like yourself, or they, basically can see things. I feel things, I know things.
Okay, so
How do
that's
you
just the
improve
next
that?
step. Some people see things from childhood up. Some people, for me, I could see, but I couldn't hear. So the more I did, the more I got. And the more I got, the better I got. And the more I got, the more was added. For me, hearing was the final thing I got. So just keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing what you got, and more will come. just ask for it specifically. They kind of sort of have to rewire your receptive mechanism. First thing I want you to know is that often we go, well, I'm not seeing, so I'm not good enough. No. You're perceiving in the way you have been wired to receive. If you want more, that's fine. You can have more. But right now, this is what you're getting. Be grateful for that and receive that and utilize that. And if that is something that you're willing to add, they could do that to you. They could bring that to you. But just because you don't have it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. The only reason I have all of them is because I didn't know I couldn't. You know, oh, that person sees. Oh, I should be able to see, huh? Okay, I'm ready to see whenever you bring that to me. So they did. Oh, you should be able to hear things. Oh, okay, well, I should be able to hear things. And, well, whenever you're ready to bring that to me, I'm ready for that. There it goes. So just be willing and be ready. And know that that can come. And you may have to stay up to 3 a.m. reading palms until the doorbell's open and then you can't close the door back.
I understand that.
Gotcha? In the back.
Okay, so I've always had what I feel is like really good gut intuition. If I'm making like a big life decision, buying a house, whatever, selling, whatever, then I usually get a really good gut intuition. But then there's times where I get a strong intuition like, yes, it's time, like, for example, house, it's time to sell. But then like 2 days later after it's sunk in, then I start questioning it. Well, maybe we shouldn't. Is that me just having cold feet, or is that, which one do I listen to?
Okay, 2 answers to that question. I think the hardest part of being psychic is self-doubt. Someone just donated a whole bunch of tarot cards and stuff to the church, oracle cards and things like that. They were such a blessing to them. Now this woman is getting on in her years, and so she released them. And the family was really sad because she had all these tools and never really felt that connection with spirit, because she didn't trust that she was receiving a message from spirit. So again, ask a new way. The biggest thing is our head is what gets in the way.
That's what I've been doing.
So your head goes, well, should I not? Should I not? And then your guts get all screwed up. If your intuition, your ring true is telling you one thing and your head is telling you another, tell your head to shut up.
That's what I get. I get that strong, like, this is what you should do. Like,
And you
I
just have
totally
to
feel,
tell the
do
other-
it. Drop everything, do exactly what it says. And if I do drop everything, do exactly what it says, it's always came out perfect. But then when I have like a couple days to think about it and enlist other people's opinions, then I start second guessing. Is this the right decision? Maybe they're right. Maybe,
So whose opinion do you value more, your friends or God?
Oh, of course, God, but that's something that mine.
Apparently not.
Like,
Apparently not, because you're asking for other people's opinion. Don't ask. Don't ask other people's opinion, because they're going to tell you what they think. What they think. You want to know what you feel. Your heart space is connected to divine source. That's what is the ring true. That's the important part.
Go with your gut. Go with your heart.
Follow this. Follow this. If you have to, you can ask again. I have learned that you can ask up to 3 times. Any more than that, your question will get muddy and you're going to get a stupid answer back.
Because I've even done like at night where you just, before I go to bed, I'd say, please show me a sign so I know that what I'm feeling is right. But a lot of times I don't see a sign, or if maybe it's there, I just not seeing it. Or I'll see 2 signs. I'll use the house example again. I'll say, should I sell the house? Well, I'll find this beautiful new house I want to buy, and I have a potential buyer all of a sudden. And it's like, okay, there's my sign. But then the next day the potential buyer falls through and the house sells. So I'm like, okay, now is this a new sign that I'm not supposed to sell? Or
It's just you asked for, see, here's the deal. You asked for a specific sign. Is now a good time for me to sell? And the sign came back, yes. Just didn't happen to be that house
That
or those
person.
people.
That makes sense.
So ask specific questions. If you ask a big general question, you're going to make yourself nuts. So the more specific you get. Remember the story of the fleece and the wet ground and the dry ground, Bible story? He asked 3 times. You can ask 3 times. And you can say, okay, if this is what you want me to do, show me that. You can do that. We have permission to do that. It's okay to doubt a little bit. It's not okay to worry it to death. Because if you worry it to death, then they're not going to give you clear answers because you're not listening. Make sense?
Yeah.
And not you personally, but us, all of us. If we don't listen, They don't talk. I mean, why would you talk to somebody who's not listening to you, right? I mean, they're respectful. They need us to be respectful of them. Yes?
I would like to know when you see us and you see the spiritual guides and angels, like you said, behind us, does one stand out that wants to get your attention more than another?
In a group situation like this, if I'm not asking for that specifically, no. But if it's not, if I was doing readings, then yes, they would do that. Anything else? What else? Is this fun? Yeah. How many people think they're psychic? Okay, everybody else in the room, raise your hand now. Because you are. You just may not have had access to information or encouragement or feedback, but you are. Rochelle.
What's your opinion of Ouija boards?
Jackie's laughing. Okay, that would be my first response. I have two different things I want to say about Ouija boards. First of all, if you lived in New York City, would you go to bed with your door open?
No.
Okay, a Ouija board is an open door. And it's not necessarily programmed to the light. So, to me, and I've played with them, scary thought. And I've also gone to people's homes where the people have played with it, and I've had to do massive clearings. So my response to that is, some people can use them without impunity, most of us can't. So my opinion is, I wouldn't even have one in the house. And I used to, but I don't. I just don't. I think it's just an open door to something that I would really rather not have an open door to. Jackie.
On that, with the Ouija boards, I had one when I was a kid. I didn't know what it was. It never worked. So I guess that was a good thing.
It was a good thing. I had one that worked really, really, really well.
Yeah, exactly.
Another question? Yes, ma'am.
How is like a pendulum or tarot card different than Ouija board?
Because the Ouija board is programmed to talk to dead people
Okay.
that haven't crossed over.
Okay.
The pendulum is open to whatever your intent is about. Same thing with the tarot card, is here to connect you in with divine source. And you have to shift it and choose the darkness in order to access that. Does that make sense? But they're programmed generally to talk to stuff that hasn't crossed over, and we don't want to go there. Not unless you're doing a house clearing or something, and there's better tools even than that. Would give you what you need. Yes?
Well, along with that, so there's no way you can use a Ouija board in a positive light, because
I didn't
even
say
with,
that.
Oh,
I think there's some people that can. I'm
because
just
of your
not-
intent. I mean,
Because of your intent. Personally, again, you have to go beyond what the energy programmed into that thing. It's a whole collective thing that I think there's some people in this world that could, with their intent, shift the energy and do it different. I'm not one of them. I don't want to be involved with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you can't. I personally run. I have gone to too many people's houses and had to do healing and clearing and blessing for people that have worked with them, and it's not good. It's opened a door that you don't want to open. Okay? Peggy.
Well, how do you know if someone from the other side who's crossed is trying to reach you?
That's a big question. You could have dreams of them. You could just think of them a lot. Let me say this about that. Let me say this a different way. People on the other side that have crossed over are ready, willing, and desirous to communicate with us anytime we are. So it's not they're hungering to communicate with us. They're ready. If you want to communicate with them, they will. Does that make sense? It's not like, oh, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you. They don't do that. Sometimes if there is this connection that you had with that person and they want to communicate with you, or perhaps you're hurting and need that communication, they're there. But whether you need it or not, they're there waiting for that door to open for that communication. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Kind of backing onto that
Bless you.
question
I
then.
can hear your energy.
So if someone has died,
Uh-huh.
I guess I've always made an assumption that they cross over.
Right. They do.
Is there not a crossing in some cases?
Yes.
And how do we know if they're not crossed over?
Usually people who have crossed over are all about love and light. Love, light, forgiveness, harmony, joy, peace. People that haven't crossed over will still have the same energy that they've got. So if somebody didn't cross over and they were a really angry person, they'll still be angry. If there's somebody that hadn't crossed over and they were really bossy, then they kind of have that bossy energy, or, does that make sense? So you'll have they'll feel different.
Can you get them to cross over?
Absolutely. Oh, that's the funnest thing ever. Don't do it unless you have somebody that's done it before go with you. But you can help them be aware that they're not living anymore, and show them the light. And angels will come. People on the other side will show up at the doorway and welcome them. It's so beautiful. It's just beautiful. Yes, you can.
But like not us like people that aren't in that, like me, that just doesn't do that. I wouldn't do that on my own.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it on your own.
Okay.
But you could with a person.
Okay.
You and I together could do that. Is there somebody there that you know that needs that?
I think so, yeah.
What's their first name?
Sammy?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So close your eyes. We're going to go to, everybody safe? Everybody good? We're going to go to the great place. It's neither here nor there, neither light nor dark, neither right or wrong, neither good or bad, just a twilight place of is. Can you be there? Now, whether you see Sammy or not, do you have a sense of them being there?
Yeah.
All right. Keep your eyes closed. Look for the light. You see the light?
Yeah.
There'll be a portal open. Okay, wonderful. Good, good, good. Now show Sammy the light. Sammy, ready to go?
I'm picturing it in my head like you see on the computer, almost like a file folder.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's fine. Is there anything holding Sammy back? Anything unsaid? Anything undone?
No, I literally feel it like if you moved a file from a computer I'm going to move it from this file to this file, almost like,
Okay. All right. Is it done? Did that happen?
I feel like it did.
Did the door close? Did the light close?
I just did it in my mind.
Okay. All right. I think there's somebody else here too that's ready to cross over. So can we do them too while we're here?
Yep.
Okay, who's getting that one? Okay, we got several people picking that one up. Okay, I don't know who that is. Just whoever can experience that, close your eyes.
Can you see the person?
No. I can't, not at the moment, I'm in a different mindset.
I can.
You can? Okay, open the light. Invite them to go. They are I have a sense that they are feeling like they need to be forgiven. It's not our job to forgive them, but no, offer them forgiveness that's available to them. All right. Are they willing to go? We can ask angels to come, and angels won't drag them across, but angels will assist. And when they cross over,
There.
okay, then the portal will close. Everybody take a deep breath. And exhale. How does that feel? That feel good? How do you feel about Sam? You seem more peaceful. And I think Sammy's more peaceful too. Are you okay?
Yeah, I feel very nauseous.
Okay, take a deep breath, uncross your legs. And exhale. This is not your stuff, you don't have to carry it. Feel better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tap your head. Right in the third eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rush that you got, that was the sensation of being free. Over.
5 minutes.
Oh.
We can delete this, right?
Yeah, we're just practicing.
That was the rush of when they went to the light. There was so much freedom.
Crossed people before, but before Sammy was gone, something came, did something. So I felt like it was separate. I'm asking.
They have been. There, I think we crossed a whole herd.
Okay. Yes, okay.
They were ready to roll. Did you have a question?
Do you ever, like have a vision and then have it again and again? And, to where, it's in different, like, sometimes I just don't know who they are. And they don't, communicate with me really, they're just calm, just, and.
When that happens, you can give them a
but the
choice.
Lights behind them.
Okay.
And then when they ended, and then I had another one, and I know it was the same lady, and the boys were in the back seat, and she was driving, and I can kind of tell what era it is because of what she's wearing, and obviously there's no air conditioning, she had the window down, and she's talking to her family, and I know those two were connected, but I just wondered if you go from like where you almost see a movie
Oh, sure.
to
Yep.
the light again.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And you can kind of tell what era and stuff
You
because
bet.
of what they look like. Huh?
If you're seeing it, help them over.
And sometimes I just have to have humor with it. or-
Yep.
Okay.
I'll be driving along and there's somebody in the backseat. Hello, I'm doing something special. I'm going to the grocery store. You could go to the light. You know, you do have to have a sense of humor.
What if they don't want to go?
Then they just get out of my car.
Yeah,
Not
right.
hauling their butts around.
Okay, you just tell them.
Go.
Go.
Get lost. Yeah. If you can either go to the light or you can go away, but
Okay.
you're not coming. I'm not your mother. Yes, ma'am.
So, predators can identify good victims, right? So is that true also with spirits or dead people? Because I feel, thank God, I've never encountered like a really evil entity, but I get visited all the time. People come in my house, they come in my office.
Okay. Here's the thing with that. Have you ever turned your porch light on in the summer?
Yeah.
What happens?
Bugs.
Right. Your light's on. So you don't want to turn your light off, but you just need a bug zapper.
But it's not actually a problem. Like,
Psychic.
if people are telling you, you gotta be careful, there's hungry ghosts, I'm like, no, they're all fine. Everybody's fine. I'm fine, you're fine, everything's fine. Right. So I'm like, is there something I don't know? Should I be more careful? You know?
Well, here's my thought on that. You could disagree with me if you'd like, but I think you have to go searching for the dark stuff. I think you have to be in a place to receive the dark stuff. So, here's the deal. If I turn the light switches off, the lights would go out. It'd be dark in here. If your light switch is on, darkness can't get there. When in doubt, pray it out.
Yeah.
So just shine, girl.
I'm not afraid.
Fears.
But people lately have been telling me you should be. Why?
Just because they are doesn't mean you need.
Yeah, it's
It's like an intellectual problem, not a spiritual problem.
You know?
That's right on.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. Your light's on. Your light's on. Stuff shows up. You have a choice at that point of, do I entertain you, bring you in and fix you a meal, or do I send you on your way? That's your choice. And what you choose to do with that is whatever you're being led to do. Make sense? I wouldn't play with stuff.
I like your analogy of the dark can't come into it.
You can't. It cannot. It cannot. Impossible. You cannot make that light dark.
Yeah.
Can't. It's busy being light.
Yeah.
So it cannot be dark. It cannot. It's impossible. Any other questions? Yes?
Do you have visions where, like in your vision, you look down and it's not your feet and hands?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So you probably are seeing either past life or you're picking up somebody else's stuff. Yeah. Yeah. This is the new normal. You're normal. This is nothing wrong with what you're doing.
My son passed away a little over a year ago, and it
Oh, I'm
just
so sorry
like,
for your loss.
and it just was, I always had visions, but they were only about my family. And then it's just like something happened where it opened up, and like sometimes I'll just see like the tops of heads, just shadows, nobody communicating with me, you know.
You just have an open door to,
Yeah.
to what's there for you. You can choose to develop that further if you'd like.
I don't know if it just, I was so broke down that it, you know, opened up.
Yeah, probably.
It just kind of went crazy.
Yeah, probably. But and not in a bad way.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a couple visions, like I said, where I could see my feet and hands, and it wasn't me, and it was a man.
Right.
And some bad things happened, and I kept having it, but it'd go just a little further. And like, for instance, it was never at my mom's house, but my mom would be there in the vision, but not really communicating with me. Like, I knew it was close to her house. And then finally, when I called my friend that works for the DA, we kind of threw some stuff together, and a guy was released that was a child molester that was arrested by mom and dad. Once I told somebody, and actually it did make me sick, so I got a hold of a police officer, you know, just because I wanted to know if I should say something. But then once I talked to her, and she talked to a few of the parents of kids in town, because it's a real small town. I never had that vision.
Yeah. So you were given that because you had the ability to be a protector. Because you had a link that could protect. So you routed it.
Yeah, that's the only kind of bad ones I have, is just where I know I need to help somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust in that stuff. Salvador.
Yes, the lady say, what you see in this room, and you answer to her, like you can see angels and more beings.
Right.
You can see the spirit scratch my back in this moment.
I'm not really seeing anything right now. I'm just the room is full. It probably would be best if we had a one-on-one, or you had a one-on-one where somebody was really tuned into you. There's almost just too much going on. That's our cue that our time is up. Thank you so much for your... My fellowship is a wonderful, wonderful community if you're looking for a community where you feel safe and understood. So you might want to check that out. Come get a calendar at the my fellowship.